At 4:00 a.m. on July 28, 2025, Tendrivska Spit, a Russian-held sliver in the Black Sea, is about to become the stage for Ukraine's gutsiest heist yet. A Zodiac boat costing just $10,000, funded by a community fundraiser, will destroy Russia's entire Black Sea plan in just 94 seconds. The Boats for Her fundraising campaign has created a shadow gliding across the waves. But this isn't your average fishing boat. It's loaded for war, bristling with NATO-style gadgets, radars, jammers, and a heavy machine gun with a very serious attitude. 200 hours. The Zodiac glides a black arrow cutting through the Black Sea's midnight waves. This stealthy approach isn't luck. It's the result of weeks of meticulous homework. For the past month, Ukrainian operators flying the legendary Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 had turned this sandbar into a blueprint mapping every Russian bunker, and more importantly, sinking the garrison's resupply boats. The Russians stationed here aren't just isolated, they're starving and demoralized. The NATO-trained commandos use the coastline's shadows as their cloak, their boat's engine humming as they hug the Earth's curve to stay below the horizon. Overhead, their own FPV drones buzz like loyal wasps, feeding live intel directly to their screens. Suddenly, a new sound cuts through the quiet rhythm of the waves. A steady, irritating buzzing like a distant lawnmower. Every commando recognizes it instantly. Russia's clunky Orlan 10 patrol drone. Instantly, the commandos freeze. The boat's engine drops to a near-silent idle. They are a black sliver on a Black Sea, and the Orlan is on a lazy, pre-programmed patrol route. A patch of low-lying sea fog gives them a precious moment of cover, and its mediocre optics scan right over them. For a tense minute, the buzzing grows louder as it passes overhead. Then it fades into the distance. It saw nothing. Just there. They've dodged the dumb robot in the sky, but as they press forward, they discover what was guiding it. The air itself turns hostile. The live video feed from their high-flying FPV drone suddenly flickers. The commandos' regular radio comms roar with white noise. They've just slammed into the invisible 87-mile web of a Lear 3 electronic warfare system. But that digital hammer wasn't swinging blindly, it was aimed. Because 15 miles away, the true titan of this sandbar saw them. A towering truck-mounted array of steel, the Nebo SVU radar. This $100 million Kremlin behemoth had swept its powerful beam across 200 square miles of sea, snagged a ghost on the waves, and told the Lear 3 exactly where to strike. The commandos are now fighting a fully aware $100 million fortress, but that fortress is stranded on a tiny strip of sand, and its operators are about to learn that technology is no substitute for courage. In the Russian command bunker, an operator designates the Ukrainians' high-flying FPV drone as the primary threat. The Lear 3 responds instantly. It focuses its entire 600 watts of jamming energy not as a wide, but as a pinpoint spear of electronic chaos aimed directly at that single drone. On the Zodiac, the commandos watch in horror as the live video feed from their primary eyes in the sky dissolves into a screaming blizzard of digital static and then goes black. The drone, its connection severed, tumbles uselessly into the sea. They are now blind deaf and completely exposed, caught in the unblinking gaze of the Titan on the shore. The Russian operators have landed a devastating punch. But their success creates a new problem for them. The Lear 3's intense focused jamming has just created a massive electronic loud noise, effectively telling the Ukrainians exactly where the jammer is located. The Ukrainian squad leader doesn't panic. He knows they're exposed. He's blind, but he knows our bearing, he hisses. They'll bracket us with fire. Prepare for contact. He's right. Having blinded their enemy, the Russian commander now uses the Nebo SVU's last known location data to guide a more primitive weapon. A mortar on the shore thumps. A shell arcs high into the night sky. The world is torn apart by the brilliant, silent light of a parachute flare. At 2:40, the Zodiac is caught a perfect silhouette on the water. Immediately, a heavy machine gun opens fire, its tracers skipping towards them. At the same time, the crushing interference from the Lear 3 is so intense it starts affecting the sensitive electronics on the Zodiac itself. Their backup systems flicker. This is the breaking point. They are lit up like a stage under fire and their own gear is failing. This is where the real ace in the hole comes into play, not as an easy fix, but as a desperate last resort. One commando, hunched over their ruggedized tablet, bypasses the fried radio systems entirely. He frantically works to get a clean connection on their small backup Starlink terminal, shielding it with his own body from the electronic noise. For agonizing seconds, nothing happens. Machine gun rounds stitch the water just feet from their boat. And then a single clean data stream cuts through the chaos. A new video feed flickers to life. It's from a backup FPV drone reconnected via Starlink, providing a grainy but vital view of the Russian positions. At 3:10 a.m., the Russian flare meant to expose them has now beautifully illuminated the Russian positions in infrared. The hot barrel of the machine gun glows white. The mortar pit is a bright spark. And the Lear 3 truck, its engine running hot, is the brightest beacon of all. The Russians thought they had taken the Ukrainians' eyes. They had no idea their enemy had a secret eye in orbit. "I have them!" the operator says, his voice laced with adrenaline. "All of them! The dynamic has just been completely reversed. The hunters have become the hunted not because of a pre-planned trick, but because they were pushed to the brink and forced to deploy their final, most powerful card. First things first," the squad leader hisses, pointing at a glowing white dot on the tablet that corresponds to the Russian heavy machine gun still spitting tracers into the darkness. "Silence that gun! Vassal, you're up! One bird!" A commando named Vassal nods, his face grim. He launches a single FPV drone. It screams away from the Zodiac, not flying blind, but guided with chilling precision by the live satellite feed. The Russian gunner, deafened by his own weapon and blinded by muzzle flash, has no idea that a $500 angel of death is screaming towards his position at 80 miles per hour. The tiny drone slams into the emplacement. A brief, sharp flash of light on the thermal display, and the machine gun goes silent forever. One threat down, but the Russian commander in the bunker is now in a full-blown panic. He's lost his eyes, his flare has died, and now one of his guns has been silenced by an enemy he can't see. He makes another desperate call. "Launch the Orlan! Find them! I want eyes on that boat now!" 3:30 hours. A second Orlan 10 drone lumbers into the air. The Ukrainians know they are on a razor's edge. They have maybe 2 minutes before that drone finds them and rains down coordinates for a full mortar barrage. The window of opportunity is closing fast. "This is it!" the squad leader commands, his voice hard as iron. "Deploy the swarm! I want everything in the air!" In a furious coordinated burst, 6 more FPV drones launch from the boat. It's not a brute force attack, it's a piece of tactical art. 2 of the drones climb high and fly a direct aggressive route towards the shore. They are programmed to be loud and obvious, their radio signals intentionally less secure. They are the decoys the Matador's cape designed to draw the bull's attention. The other 4 drones, the real killers, stay low. They skim just feet above the waves, hugging the shadows on a wider flanking trajectory. Inside the Russian command bunker, the Nebo SVU operator's screen lights up like a Christmas tree. Multiple contacts all screaming towards him. Chaos erupts. The commander, seeing the 2 high-altitude, fast-moving drones, makes the most logical and most wrong decision of his life. "Those are the primary threats," he yells. "Focus the Lear 3 on the high-altitude targets, fry them." The full 600-watt might of the Lear 3's jamming system, a multi-million-dollar sledgehammer, is now focused entirely on the 2 decoy drones. On the Ukrainian operator's screens, the video feeds for the 2 decoys instantly dissolve into static. One of the drones, its brain fried, tumbles from the sky. The Russians score a kill. A cheer might have gone up in their bunker. They think they are winning. But as they celebrate swatting 2 flies, they have completely ignored the 4 wolves slipping in through the back door. At 3:45 a.m., on the Zodiac, the operators of the 4 killer drones watch their own screens go black as their drones enter the edge of the weakened jamming field. They can no longer see. They can no longer steer. Their job is done. They have fired their weapons into a blind storm and now can only trust the plan. Each of those 4 drones is now flying autonomously. Their simple AI brains have one mission: follow the preloaded GPS waypoints, and if you see a towering latticework shape that matches the 3D target profile of a Nebo SVU radar, fly directly into it. The commandos crouch in their boat, the engine rumbling, listening to the waves. 4 ghosts are in the machine, 4 silent assassins screaming through the darkness towards the $100 million heart of the Russian fortress. Inside the Russian command bunker, a smug sense of victory settles in. They successfully jammed and destroyed the incoming threats. Their screens are clear. They believe the attack has been repelled. They have no idea they just applauded the wrong part of the magic trick. The Ukrainian commandos don't wait for confirmation. The tide is receding, exposing the wet sand they need for a clean landing. The Zodiac's engine roars back to life, cutting the final 100 yards to the beach. As the boat grinds onto the shore, the NATO-trained operators leap out into the ankle-deep water, their M4 carbines raised, moving with the fluid, silent precision of predators. On the shore, a lone Russian sentry, perhaps relaxing after the brief firefight, lights a cigarette. His moment of peace is shattered by a sound he can't place, a faint, high-pitched whine. He raises his head, annoyed. The whine is joined by another, then another. It's not distant anymore. The whine becomes a shriek. He looks up into the night sky and sees them. 4 small, dark shapes plunging out of the darkness directly towards the massive radar array behind him. He doesn't even have time to shout a warning. The heart of the $100 million fortress is about to be ripped out. What follows is not a single massive explosion, but a rapid series of surgical demolitions. The first FPV drone slams into the Nebo SVU's power supply. The second hits the rotating mechanism, freezing the giant dish. The final 2 tear through the delicate latticework of the radar itself, turning a $100 million piece of high technology into a mangled, useless sculpture of twisted steel. In the chaos, a stray piece of superheated shrapnel from the radar's destruction rips through the nearby Lear 3 truck. The 600-watt wall of jamming energy vanishes in a shower of sparks. The digital beast is dead. And now, with the fortress's eyes poked out and its voice silenced, the wolves rush in. But as the commandos move to secure the outpost, one last bastion of resistance erupts. From the main command bunker, the rhythmic, deafening chatter of a DSHK heavy machine gun opens up, spitting fire blindly into the darkness. The demoralized garrison is making their last stand. For the Russian soldiers inside, huddled behind their heavy weapon, it's a desperate, terrifying fight. They can't see anything, so they're just filling the night with lead, hoping to hit the ghosts they know are out there. For the Ukrainians watching through their night vision goggles, it's a tactical problem with a simple textbook solution. They don't charge into the stream of bullets. One fire team lays down precise, suppressing fire with their M4 carbines, forcing the Russian gunner to keep his head down. Under the cover of this fire, a second team flanks wide, moving like shadows to the side of the bunker, completely unseen. One of the commandos pulls the pin on a familiar pineapple-shaped object, an M67 fragmentation grenade. He gives it a 3-second count and then lobs it perfectly through the bunker's entrance. The muffled crump of the explosion is the final sound of Russian resistance on the Spit. The commandos storm the now silent bunker. The firefight is over. As the smoke clears, a lone commando climbs onto the roof of the conquered command post. At 4:01, a blue and yellow flag is unfurled, snapping defiantly in the salty wind over a field of shattered multi-million-dollar Russian technology. Mission accomplished. The math behind this victory is both brutal and beautiful. Russia is out over $100 million in irreplaceable hardware. Their Western Black Sea surveillance network is now effectively blind. Replacing this kind of specialized gear will take Russia months, if not years, assuming they can even afford it. And the cost for Ukraine, a Zodiac boat worth $10,000, a handful of FPV drones that cost about as much as a used PlayStation. All told, the entire operation cost less than a new pickup truck. It's the kind of underdog upset that would make a Super Bowl crowd roar. This wasn't a one-off stroke of luck. It's proof that Ukraine has mastered the art of asymmetrical warfare, turning cheap crowd-funded ingenuity and tactical brilliance into a weapon that can humble a superpower. The Black Sea is a different playground now. Russia is left blinded and guessing. So what critical Russian asset do you think should be next on Ukraine's high-tech, low-budget hit list? The Kerch Bridge, a naval headquarters. Let us know your strategic targets in the comments below.